First story. Feeling gaslit from my wayward cheating partner. My partner, 45F, and I, 49M, were in an open relationship and we had one centrally governing rule. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Since we only recently started out, and the experience was new to the both of us, we were slowly toe-stepping our way into seeing others, with no major escalations. From June 30th to July 13th, my partner developed an emotional and physical affair with a married man with children. I was absolutely oblivious to this development. Her betrayal made me feel belittled, insignificant, invisible, unworthy, demeaned, and, fundamentally, disrespected, as well as creating and amplifying insecurities. The affair partner AP didn't even know I existed. Despite only meeting twice, they developed an exceptionally close connection. When AP traveled back to their country, she cried before he left at his hotel. And they resorted to send 2-3 long-worded emails per day, consisting of poetry, music, intimate details, and what they were going through and what they were up to. I reason emailing was the selected medium because AP wanted to evade communication from his wife. Anyways, the magnitude of their connection was greater than what I had with her, but it was similar to how our relationship first started. So, the limerent's new relationship energy is particularly strong. AP eventually told his wife and both AP's wife and I affirmed no contact boundaries. So, they effectively chose to cut off contact. However, when they were communicating, the affair partner promised her 2 books. Also important to note, my partner never felt like she truly felt like she was in love with someone until she met me. So her feeling love is a novelty. My partner was exceptionally remorseful for the first week and a half. She told me she didn't want to tell me because she was concerned I would judge her for liking a married man. Also, at first, I think she was experiencing denial and brushed off their connection, plus emotional and physical attraction, as transactional and argued that she was just using him, the books, just before cutting off contact for good. However, my partner requested for books that AP promised her, because in her words, it'll feel that she'll still have a part of him. Mind you, his wife is likely oblivious to this development. My opinion and feelings, alongside the ongoing trauma and unprecedented emotional distress I'm enduring, were never accounted for, nor was consideration extended to AP's wife. I, after a couple of days of trying to nudge her towards accountability, put my foot down and objected, indicating how that makes me feel. She, however, insists that she already made so many sacrifices, e.g., cutting him off, but she wants to keep that 1%, tangibly represented by the books. She's very, very frustrated and annoyed by what she perceives as a restriction on her autonomy, with the overall attitude effectively being, "Can't I just have these fucking books?" And, honestly, this whole entire development is hurtful, because it reflects the same behavior that enabled the cheating to occur. The same selfishness, the same desperation, the same obsession. She's effectively saying that her immediate desires and feelings are more important than AP's wife's my feelings and self-respect. A different shade of disrespect, in that it was communicated, but to me, it's like forewarning me about getting punched in the gut indefinitely while simultaneously being spat on. Additionally, her logic surrounding the dynamic was communicated during this development. It is important for the next development of concern. What our relationship differs from traditional relationships, and this circumstance differs from traditional cheating, is that in our non-monogamous dynamic, the external relationship itself is permitted, and it's a separate matter from disclosure. In a traditional relationship, neither the external relationship nor the non-disclosure is permitted. So in this case, what I hope we can do is focus on our relationship, the relationship between you and I itself, instead of my relationship with someone else. I understand that in your mind feelings, this relationship represents my deceit to you and makes you feel uncomfortable, which is why I'm choosing to cut contact with this external relationship that otherwise would be permitted. But more importantly, in reality, I, myself, represent my deceit to you. I have made my confession, and I've been doing everything within my power to fix that and be transparent to you. Recommunication with AP. The second development relates to her wanting to recommunicate with AP. I noticed she wasn't herself and wanted to cultivate space with radical honesty and acceptance. I also insisted and had a strong feeling that she still had feelings and an attraction towards AP, despite her prior objections. She eventually spilled the beans and indicated that he's been on her mind all the time. She writes about him every single day, multiple times a day, and wrote and recently made a song for him. I reminded her on the 30th of July that it's been 1 month since they first met and made out, because of the trauma it represented, and she forgot about it. What does she do? She went to the cafe where they first met and wrote about him the whole day. She also has urges to call him or contact him, but is restraining herself. I also told her, despite what happened, I hope that there comes a day where they can rekindle things on more ethical footing, with my and AP's wife's awareness. This is the critical bit. When they cut off contact, they indicated that they would only contact each other to alert the other if their respective partner, AP's wife or I, changed our position, allowing them to re-pursue things. Later that same evening, with a slightly aggressive tone, she challenged my boundary on not letting her rekindle things right now, asking, "Why don't you let me talk to him so I can see if we actually work out?" I told her, I'm still healing and processing things. I don't know when I'd be comfortable with you two reassuming contact, and B, this is a sequential game, with AP's wife's decision also limiting her interaction with him, and you two rekindling things also being contingent on her. This also feeds into her obsession of just wanting to communicate with him. And, remember what she said before, semicolon, I understand that in your mind feelings, this relationship represents my deceit to you and makes you feel uncomfortable, which is why I'm choosing to cut contact with this external relationship that otherwise would be permitted. What happened to that respectful attitude in my mind feelings? All in all, I think she places a high value on her autonomy, and I respect her autonomy. If she wants those books and if she wants to communicate with him, by all means, go ahead. I'll just need to exit her life. But I feel like she's minimizing, which reduces the degree of remorse, and I feel like she's delusional. I think she's in the bargaining stage of grief. My partner and I are currently in the process of reconciliation, and honestly, at this point, I've effectively given up. Because of the boundary testing, am I entitled to feel disrespected? Manipulated? Are my boundaries really disproportionate and excessive? Why do I feel guilty for exercising basic self-respect? Why do I feel like my strength and courage throughout all of this is now being taken for granted? Or is there something from her perspective that I'm not seeing? Second story. Consequences that I never thought of. I'm posting here to share what happened recently and to warn others who might be thinking about or already involved in cheating. So, my wife and I have barely been in contact for over 3 months since she found out about my affair back in April. She decided to take a break and stay with her sister. I've been trying to work on myself with a therapist for the first time, hoping to fix things and maybe get another shot at reconciliation. Yesterday, I found out that my hope of fixing things is pretty much gone. I never thought my affair would put my wife's life in danger. Since day, I've had no contact with AP. I've blocked her everywhere, and we don't live or work near each other, so there's been no direct contact. But last night, my wife got into a minor car accident. Thankfully, she's okay, just some bruises and a messed up car. The police called me since I'm her emergency contact. When I got to the scene, they told me that apparently she'd been followed by another car before she lost control and crashed. At the hospital, My wife confessed to me that AP had been reaching out, sending messages, and calling her. I saw some of these messages myself. They were manipulative as hell, saying things like I only love her, that my wife is just an obligation, and that she's selfish for keeping me away from my true love. AP claimed that once she's out of our lives, we'll be happy together. My wife tried to handle it on her own, telling AP to stop bothering her, but the messages didn't stop. She blocked AP, but then she started getting calls from random numbers. Last night at the store, my wife saw a woman who looked suspicious. She recognized her from pictures as AP and got scared, so she rushed to her car. Unfortunately, she got so anxious seeing AP follow her that she ended up in a minor crash. She told me she was sure it was AP and also told the police. When I met my wife's sister at the hospital, her anger towards me was totally justified. She told me to stay away from my wife entirely since I've brought a dangerous person into our lives. She made it clear that if things didn't change, she'd make sure my wife took legal action to protect herself, which could include a restraining order against AP and possibly even me. I've already given the police all of AP's details, address, phone number, emails, and social media accounts. I'm also expecting divorce papers soon because this isn't just about my cheating anymore. It's about the danger I've let into my wife's life. I'm a wreck right now, but I know it's nothing compared to what my wife is going through. I offered to drive her home from the hospital, but she refused. The look of fear on her face was something I never want to see again. I tried to reassure her that AP was out of my life and that I'd protect her, but she didn't want to hear it. I'm just spinning out of control, thinking about how much I messed up by letting my ego dictate my actions. I feel so guilty for putting my wife in this situation and I'm scared for her safety. I'm also struggling with how to deal with AP. I can't eat or sleep and I feel like I'm on the brink of a mental breakdown. I'm not looking for sympathy here. I'm sharing this because I want others to see the real consequences of cheating. It's not just about emotional pain. My actions have put my wife's safety at risk. I'm sharing this to warn anyone who thinks cheating won't have serious repercussions or that therapy alone will fix everything. Believe me, it's not worth it. Don't fucking do it. I regret every decision that led me here and wish I could go back and tell my past self to wake up and get help before causing this much damage. If you're considering cheating or are already in it, think long and hard about the consequences. Nothing is worth risking the safety of your loved ones. Third story. Wife 38F and I 40M, both emotionally cheated. Wife's jealousy is mentally exhausting. How can I help more? Long story short, both of us emotionally cheated on each other right about the same time. This was years ago. In terms of emotional cheating, it was identical emo. The girl messaging me seemed to straight up want me. So we flirted out. Someone told wife we had something going on. She read all of our chat logs when she confronted me. Wife was messaging some dude a lot. I knew that. The only messages I was able to read call history was deleted. Was my wife telling the dude she wasn't married and we weren't together anymore? Which we were totally married and together and living in same house kids. Move forward 10 years and wife has a lot of jealousy, low self-esteem and insecurities. She already suffered from this before the cheating. Just got worse after it. Over the years we argued a lot over anything Toto with me and any woman. I get that. I never really been the jealous type. Don't have low self-esteem or insecurities like that. She always wants me to be checking in on whereabouts, questioning for who am I dressing up for, wondering why the YouTube video I'm watching has that woman in it. Who's that coworker? Are you cheating on me? Who gave you that hickey? It's a pimple or scratch from working outside. Usually it's a comparison between her and some woman. I let her know a lot of my intentions, my love, and how hot she is. Really, I always try to prove by pointing out physical things to prove her that it's not just me thinking she is a straight up hot MILF. She doesn't believe it. Anyways, I'm at the point where I have zero energy to argue about the same subject for the 1000th time. I join a new company, she'll have concerns towards the attractive woman. I'm watching a TV show at video movie and say anything about a female. It's followed by questions and jealously. I don't have any female friends. IWFM, so no physical chatting with females. I play single-player video games, don't talk to no one. I am mentally exhausted. I love her and my tummy hurts thinking of her away from me or thinking of her with another man. I don't watch porn, I quit it months ago, so I just get off 2 nudes she's sent me. We engage in sex on average 1 times a week. In past 2 years, the moment she starts with something toto with jealousy, I immediately shut down. BC it's the same thing again, and I know the outcome. I just don't have the energy, so I tell her I don't wanna talk about it anymore. We make up usually within a week. Every boundary she has set, I've accepted after arguing and compromising, and have done things myself to help. I don't have any boundaries, restrictions on her. She can do, go anywhere she wants. Is this fixable? What else can I do to help without hurting my hobbies and feeling controlled? TLDR, we both emotionally cheated, and wife's insecurities and jealousy have gotten worse or not improved. It's making me feel very controlled by her. What can I do? 4th story. Cheated on. Found out I was the side guy and I know the other guy's identity. Should I tell him? Long story, but I was off and on with a woman for a year and a half. The relationship was complicated because she has children from a previous marriage, and we both have challenges with work schedules because we are both first responders. I fell in love hard, despite all of the red flags. We resumed dating in May. Both admitted we were in love and were dating with the thought of marriage. Fast forward to July and she grew distant, was dismissive, and her behavior was secretive and downright shady. Finally, after not seeing her for 2 weeks and multiple times, plans were canceled on her end. During a conversation, she said she didn't have the time necessary for a relationship with me. It was an amicable split, with no hard feelings, even though I was crushed. After it ended, I boxed up the jewelry and other items she had left at my house and mailed it to her. I wanted to make sure she got her stuff back, wrote a nice little note, and wished her the best. The day I mailed it, she asked to speak to me about the breakup, and during the conversation I mentioned that I shipped her stuff to her. She absolutely freaked out. I had mailed items to her house before, been there, but was never let inside the home because she said she had a complex about being OCD about cleanliness and didn't want to feel judged. I was aware that the ex and her both had keys to one another's homes and that she never definitively ended that relationship. She had met my parents, my siblings, and attended a wedding with me. The love from her felt so real. There are lots of details that I could include, but for the sake of time I will leave out of the initial post. I found out she intercepted the package at the post office because I gave her the tracking number. She was concerned about him receiving the package at her home. Also learned that she had never stopped dating the other guy. She started over with me while he was on a hunting trip and told me that she was still in love with me and that it was I she wanted to be with. From May-July, we were sleeping with one another multiple times a week for hours at a time and not using protection. After the package was intercepted, she blocked me on social media and told me that it had made her beyond uncomfortable that I mailed her items to her house. Should I let this other guy know what she was up to? 5th story. Wife of almost 4 years cheated again. My wife has a record of cheating. I never had concrete proof for a while, just suspicious outings, a gut feeling, and weird texts. And when I finally got proof from her coworkers, he was clearly sorry my situation. We went to therapy and made a big turnaround. She worked on mending the wounds over the last year and I've regained most trust in her. Well, I'm clearly an idiot. Tonight, I had a bad feeling like all of those times before. I had to work late and she knew this. She told me she was going to the movies with some co-workers, which was fine. I found it odd she was still in the parking lot 2 hours after the movie finished. She told me they were just talking. She then texted and said they were going to one of the guys' house for a drink. I let her know my concerns since I didn't know where this co-worker lived or that she was being honest about who she was going to see. My gut instinct is 100% apparently. She goes to this house and I see the address since we share locations. This is the same address that a coworker who knows he was married then and is now sent her. I immediately blew up her phone, called I don't know how many times with no answer. Then I realized I still had her number from a screenshot with the address, so I texted her hi again. Will you let me know I'm trying to reach you? And a minute later she reads my texts and then answers my call, but she's already in his car. She's denying everything and saying he was her working buddies and her phone was inside purse. I know she's lying and trying to save face as I told her if she slips up again, I'm planning to divorce her. I'm not looking for confirmation or anything like that. I know she cheated tonight or at least attempted to before I texted her. I just need to get this all out. Part of me wishes I would have been calm and withheld knowing these things to get more proof before throwing it in her face. But I just saw red when I realized it was this address I had ingrained in my memory, and a screenshot to confirm. I know she'll delete any texts or DMs before I get home. This just sucks and we've been the best that we've ever been. Guess that's long gone. I feel disgusting and I'm not even home yet. 6th story. GF of 5 years cheated on me. So my GF went out on Street Patty's Day to the bar with her co-workers and got almost blackout drunk. She went with a few female and male co-workers. The bars closed at 2 a.m. and my GF was brought back to my apartment at 3:30 a.m. by some guy named Vincent. I was pretty upset when she told me who brought her home, as I expected one of her girlfriends to take her home. I got upset and told her I'm not comfortable with that since she's drunk and it's so late. I didn't think much of it and gave her the benefit of the doubt. She told me nothing happened. Fast forward a few months, I checked her phone because it just didn't seem right. I found out that she texted Vincent a month ago that she wants to hang out and he's asking her to spend the night. My GF then confessed that they kissed in the car ride home and nothing else happened. Personally, I don't know if I can believe her as she has hid all of this from me. I also noticed she deleted earlier texts between Vincent and her. She said that it was just texts of him calling her sexy. So I tried to end things and I got extremely anxious and depressed. I ended up taking her back after 2 days. I'm not sure if I should have. We are both deeply in love, but I don't know if this is something that I should be putting up with. I'm also extremely sad to know she would be taking our dog because her name is on the microchip and not mine. Is this something that can be worked through? I've never been cheated on before and don't know how to feel. My GF has been my best friend for 5 years, so it just feels odd knowing she can be out of my life.